Heading up a special summer garden workday at Cathedral of the Holy Name last week, we had people moving rose bushes from one side of the property and digging up boxwoods elsewhere. Just when we had the place pretty much torn apart, someone casually mentioned that the Cardinal was on a plane back from Rome, heading to Chicago for a special service and reception in the garden courtyard. Would have been nice if somebody had told us before we completely pulled the place apart. On Sunday, Cardinal Kupich said life is pretty much a shit show. We walk through it by faith. Everything we have comes from God, and at the end, we'll have to give everything back, including our minds and our souls. We're not here to fix the world, but to be in it. We have our life in the world and our life with God. We did get the bushes and everything back in place for the Sunday reception, and it was a joyous event. No endless emails about it, and no follow up investigation was needed. It just worked out. We're all here somewhere between who we were, who we are, and who we're becoming. It's nothing to get stressed about. Welcome. Welcome to Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. Recently, we talked about taking the train to Ravinia, being inspired, hiring a tree service, and how we're not in this life all by ourselves. The readings at Washington National Cathedral from Isaiah. If you want to see righteousness, look at those who came before us. And from Romans, do not conform to the ways of the world, but be transformed to the ways of God. The gospel reading was from Matthew. If you don't make your own PR, it'll make itself. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Kelly Brown Douglas. Kelly Brown Douglas said it's obvious from the story in the Bible that Jesus was a Black man. He suffered and died for the inequity of others. When Christ asks his disciples, who do they say I am? He's trying to read the room. It's risky business being a spokesperson for God. If we get the answer right, we know something about Jesus and about ourselves. Peter, he gets the answer right when he says Christ is the Messiah, the Son of the living God, the one who has ultimate authority. When we get the answer right, we become responsible for taking the right action and reflecting God's will. That means being good and doing good. Doing good is not extinct in the world. If you want to be good, hang out with the good and with good people. It's that simple. And that's why church is important. The church is the rock in the world. We're accountable to God and we're accountable to each other. Who do you say God is? You do it with your every action, word, and deed. And together, we're the blessed family of God. The sermon at St. James Cathedral here in Chicago was by Stephen Balke. Stephen preached about being between a rock and a hard place. It's not the worst place to be. The rough places become a plain in the process, and the true beauty of things can come to light. Stephen said his son has a love of rocks and rock tumbling to bring out the beauty of stones by rounding off all the rough edges. Personally, I like my rough edges because I think they give me a little personality. And conflict, we'd have nothing to talk about without it. Stephen said there's a new book called The Art of Fighting by conflict resolution expert Pyra Parker. Miss Parker writes about how we could all use more conflict in our lives and how we could be a lot better at being in conflict with others. The natural inclination is to avoid problems, and this leads to dysfunction in business, personal relationships, and in the church. When we all go along to get along, someone is always left out. In the book, Miss Parker talks about the outer ring, people who are yelling at each other from afar, but disaffected because they miss the crucial step of actually being in a relationship with the people they're in conflict with. We can be in relationship through conflict. It's better than no relationship at all. In today's culture, we only want to be in relationship with those like us, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, liberal Democrat, and liberal conservative. If you're not in a box, then you're on the outer ring. And in the process, we lose sight of the human family. God builds his church in the world on conflict and reconciliation. It's not a fixing or a moralizing of right and wrong. It's about being in relationship, being in a relationship with others and being in a relationship with God. It is kind of like being between a rock and a hard place. It's not the worst place to be. There was a lot of chatter in the world this week about Dolly Parton. That's what the world does. It points out the obvious and then has nothing to say about it. Dolly was a caring and loving person. She was also the butt of jokes on the Johnny Carson show. Men liked her, and but women thought she was probably a traitor to her class because she had big boobs. Having big boobs is pretty worldly, but it wasn't who Dolly Parton was, and it isn't she'll be remembered for. We have a life in the world and a life with God. Everything we have belongs to God, and at the end, we'll have to give everything back, including our minds and our souls. It's not an argument or a problem to be solved. The one who figures it out doesn't get a prize. They have the responsibility for doing better. If you would like to join us at coffee hour, I will include my email in the description of this video. Be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.